Excreted from the Babelfish stuck in Arthur Dent's ear. Ew! It's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two genuine people personality prototypes, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
What a great intro. Bob, come on, give it up. Who is that?
I don't know. I can't pronounce his name.
Try.
Makoto shuck some corn to Kashima.
Come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
Don't bust me. Tush Kashama
Closer.
Jones.
No.
Don't sue us.
Too funny.
Wait, I was in New York.
Yes. Yes, you were.
I
for
was
a while.
in New York. I was.
Took a vacation.
For like almost a week.
Well-earned vacation.
I saw 2 Broadway shows.
What'd you see?
I saw Rock of Ages,
Okay.
which is
and
being made into a film starring Tom Cruise.
who, in the stills at least, looks pretty great.
I love Tom Cruise. I'm a Tom Cruise fan. I was a Tom Cruise fan when it wasn't fashionable to be a Tom Cruise fan.
You were a Tom Cruise fan even when he was jumping on the couch.
I meant of his acting.
Oh, okay.
And I saw there's a Chris Rock makes his Broadway debut.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yes.
In
a show whose name I cannot mention.
Okay.
Because it has an expletive in it. It's called The Mother Effer with the Hat.
Ah, yeah.
Although,
Yeah.
it's not actually Effer.
Yeah.
And it's he's in it. He plays. There's only 4 characters in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And is he good? He not really. I mean, he acquits himself fine. I think a lot of what this character does in the play is very monologue-esque. So it does sort of speak to his stand-up. What he does best, which is stand-up. But I think ultimately in this play, I think the character would have been better served by a better actor,
Right.
and not Chris Rock.
A better actor like the one that stars in this
Yeah. you know what I'm talking about. Tell us about Ding Dong Dead. You brought it up.
I know I did. It is, after all, a DVD show. This is one of the one of the joys of actually reviewing DVDs is that every once in a while, one of these things will come out, and you just kind of think, "What? How did a movie come out that actually stars one of our colleagues?" This is a movie called Ding Dong Dead from Music Video Distributors. It is ostensibly a horror film of some sort, directed and written by Creep Creeperson. It's his real name, right?
Really?
Yeah, it must be. And starring none other than our very own film critic colleague, Luke Y. Thompson. Now, Luke is a bit of a Renaissance man, and I use the word Renaissance very loosely. Not like the real Renaissance. Not like Luke paints pictures of naked babies and fat, topless fat women or anything. But Luke does a little bit of all kinds of things, and he moonlights a lot in the B-movie world, shall we say.
He loves the B-movie world. In fact, we had an issue voting him into LAFCA because the argument was his tastes are so narrow and eccentric.
Yes.
Meaning B-movies,
Yes.
horror films, Saw films,
Yeah.
that people thought maybe he shouldn't be let into the group. But obviously, cooler and wiser has prevailed. And Luke
Yes.
is now a proud member
He is
of the
indeed.
LA Film Critics Association,
And
going to every single reception that we get invited to because he gets free food and
There
always
you go.
gets drunk.
No, that's for sure. Well, anyway, Luke stars in this. It's Ding Dong Dead, and if you know the reference here, it's Ding Dong Ditch, which is where it's kind of a variation on that, where people who play Ding Dong Ditch against this poor taxi driver-esque unemployed guy, things don't turn out quite so well for them. Super low budget. I think they may have spent $150 making this thing. So you go in expecting what you expect, but we were amused watching our good friend Luke in this very interesting film. Even has a commentary by Creep Creeperson and a separate commentary by Luke and Creep Creeperson. It's his real name, right? Creep Creeperson.
Oh, yeah. His parents had quite a sense of humor.
Good people. And a behind-the-scenes featurette. Boy, it's loaded with extras.
Ding Dong Dead. Support the
3D, right?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's 4D. Skip right over 3D, right to 4D.
And another great commentary this week. Boy, we got it. We're out of control here, people. We are out of control. Lily's Thorn from Vanguard. This is a tremendous commentary on this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Who did the commentary?
We did. Yes, Vanguard released this film, Lily's Thorn, which actually, it's interesting. Lily's Thorn is a little independent film. It's like community filmmaking, which is a point that we actually make in the thing. It's there's a little bit of It's a Wonderful Life in there, that little kind of small town underdog against the big developer thing, and it's interesting in the sense that the entire film and everyone in it and those who made it, it's all from one town. So this isn't this isn't even just like independent filmmaking. This is small town independent filmmaking, and it's not a bad little film for the circumstances that went into it, and we talk about that. It's an interesting paradigm going forward for how I think we're going to see more and more films made and targeted and marketed. It's going to be one step removed from a home movie in a certain sense.
Like Ding Dong Dead.
Like Ding Dong Dead, exactly. But I think it's an interesting paradigm. So, there's our little Digigods logo.
Yay, Lily's Thorn. It's funny because it's not like people can't hear us on the podcast. No. And it's not like people can't see and hear us on Stupid for Movies, even though you're not on Stupid for Movies anymore. Still, there are 50 archived episodes.
True.
So,
and Luke, by the way, hosted in my stead a few weeks ago.
He did. He did a very good job. He was terrific.
Now that we have talked about the important films, we can go down and we can start, scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Because we've done. Now we're done for the show. That's it. The
good night, everyone.
Good stuff's out of the way. Ding Dong Dead and Lily's Thorn. Good stuff's out of the way. Now I can talk about junk. Like, for example, this thing that they call the Lord of the Rings Motion Picture Trilogy Extended Edition on Blu-ray. Now, this is approximately the size and weight of an Adobe brick. These are not the theatrical versions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. As everyone knows, there were previously extended editions released, which are substantially longer. And truly, if you woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and loaded these things up and spent the entire day just watching the movies, not the extras, just the movies, and then had like a couple of breaks in there just to eat, it would truly take you all day long. Well,
you realize this is 15 discs.
And if you add the extras, honestly, it could take you all week. It's like over 25 hours of extras. It just goes on and on and on. You got to be a real fan. I would say, unless you are just completely out of your mind for these films, I don't know. It's. I mean, yeah, does it look great in Blu-ray? Sure, of course.
Well, here's the thing, though.
It just goes on and on and on and on.
Well, also, part of the reason why it's 15 discs is that even though these are Blu-rays, the films are spread over 2 Blu-rays.
Yes.
So, Fellowship of the Ring on 2 Blu-rays, right? What's the other one? The Two Towers, the one where they just walk around in a tree for the whole movie?
Pretty much.
2 Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Return of the King, which won Best Picture, 2 Blu-rays. So 6 of the 15
right.
are the movies. Now, the fact that they would spread those films over two Blu-rays only shows that they are totally dedicated to a great transfer. And the transfers are beautiful.
Yeah, look, no argument there. It's just, how much Lord of the Rings do we need?
A lot.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, gorgeous Blu-ray. If you have the previous extended editions already on DVD, definitely going to upgrade. You got to upgrade.
Wait, here's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
There's a company called CBS Films. It's a relatively new company, CBS Films. CBS being the TV network, and they branching out into films. Every film they come out with sucks.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I'm surprised they're still in business. They're one of their early films. Oh, they're all early films since they're a new company. Is Beastly with Vanessa Hudgens and Alex Pettyfer. And Alex Pettyfer plays a guy who's
Alex Pedophile.
Huh?
Alex Pedophile.
He's 17.
Jeez.
Can a 17-year-old be a pedophile?
I don't know.
When you're under 18 yourself?
Sure, if he likes fetuses.
Exactly. What? But anyway, Pettifer plays this spoiled brat kid, and he meets a witch, oddly played by Mary-Kate Olsen for some reason.
Oh, jeez.
And the witch turns him into an ugly person, and he'll only be pretty again if he falls in love with a woman for her. But the thing is that even though he's turned into an ugly person, he's still Alex Pettifer. He's just Alex Pettifer with a bunch of tattoos on him.
What you're saying is this is basically Beauty and the Beast for the Twilight set.
Very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. Special features include an alternate ending, deleted scenes, and a bunch of other crap that is meaningless.
Speaking of, it just arrived today, actually, which I have not had a chance to look at yet, but is the Criterion Collection release of the Blu-ray of Jean Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast.
Really?
Yes. Which, has that wonderful line, Mais vous êtes un animal.
I'm not an animal.
That's a different movie.
Oh.
That's a David Lynch film that you just referenced.
I am a man.
Mark, what do we think about Kate Mara as an actress?
We
like her sister.
I like her sister a lot.
Like her sister a lot.
Now, here's the thing with Kate Mara is that I'm not a fan of Kate Mara, and
her sister, of course, being the one that wowed everybody in The Social Network, and who wound up getting the lead role in Fincher's remake of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
The thing with Kate, I'm not a fan of Kate Mara. She was the best I've seen her is in Ironclad.
Yeah.
Ironclad was produced by our friend, and it's a terrific film. And Kate Mara is good in it. It's the best thing I've seen her in.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of her otherwise.
I am not a fan of hers generally, but I got to tell you, she's not bad. And this is an ensemble film we're talking about here, which is Happy, Thank You, More, Please. But she's buried in this ensemble, which includes, there's some. Malin Ackerman is terrific in this, and Zoe Kazan, and a lot of it's not bad. The film itself was actually written, directed by, and stars Josh Radnor of How I Met Your Mother. And it's one of these, there are a lot of movies like this where you just get a nice ensemble cast and you sort of focus on their interaction. And this is about a bunch of, young adults in New York, and there you go. There it is. It's an ensemble thing, and, who loves whom and who's struggling with what. And we've seen this thing before, but you know what?
It's very Sundancey.
It's very Sundancey, and it rings true, and the actors are good. And is it a great script? No, but it's solid. It definitely seems to come from experience, and it's got a lot of the stereotypes that we always think of, the waitress and all of those things. But I'll tell you, not bad. Blu-ray doesn't need to be. It's on DVD and Blu-ray. Nothing special about the Blu-ray. I'd say it's rent it on DVD and watch it and enjoy it. And if you really love it, then maybe buy the Blu-ray.
That's telling them ways.
Maybe. Mark, we also got a couple of interesting little collection sets here. These are the Handmade Films collection, and I'm glad they're doing this because it's going to bolster the profile of the films from Handmade Films. Now, Handmade Films...
Not Hemdale Films.
Not Hemdale, but Handmade Films, which was that Beatle guy's company.
George Harrison.
Yeah.
That's what Hemdale was.
No, Hemdale was the Hemdale. No, don't get me going on Hemdale. They still owe me $250.
Really?
Don't you know that story?
Probably.
Well, it's not Hemdale proper, but the people who ran Hemdale. They made another film when I was PA like 20 years ago. And
what was that film? Wade? What was that film?
Legend of Wolf Mountain with Mickey Rooney.
Only the best.
Unbelievable, the stories I have from that weekend. No, this is the Handmade Films collection, in all seriousness. It was separated into the Michael Palin set and the Bob Hoskins set, which actually is pretty great. Because Bob Hoskins was in the following films from the Handmade Films collection: The Long Good Friday, Mona Lisa, The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn, and The Raggedy Ronnie. And then Michael Palin, of course, was in Time Bandits, The Missionary, and A Private Function. There is not a bad film here.
No, there really isn't.
There isn't. These are all terrific.
The problem is that a Criterion. There's a Blu-ray coming out of Long Good Friday, right? I believe there's a Long Good Friday Blu-ray coming out.
I believe you are correct.
In fact, I think it may even be Criterion doing it.
Well, Nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and recommend these for people who want to have, it's nice to save some space on your shelf when you have multiple films. And these are all terrific, not Blu-rays, they're DVDs, but it's fine. These are really, really good films. And some of this stuff has kind of fallen between the cracks, like The Lonely Passion of Judith Hearn, which Hoskins stars in along with Maggie Smith. It's a really sweet film. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful film. The Raggedy Ronnie, that's kind of fallen between the cracks a little bit as well. And doesn't make you love gypsies necessarily, but that's also solid. And as far as the Palin stuff, I mean, look, we all love Time Bandits. Everybody knows Time Bandits, but we've kind of forgotten about The Missionary, and we've really forgotten about A Private Function. So, hey, I mean, this resurrects these films, I think, by virtue of putting them into these little packaged multi-film collections. And I think that's great.
Look, we come across so many of these multi-film collections, and there's always one good film and 3 stinkers.
There are no stinkers here.
Nope.
None.
Well, actually, there is a stinker.
What's that?
It's called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules.
Yeah, did they made another one of those?
This is the sequel to Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Did the first one do well enough to merit a sequel, or is it just because they licensed the books and they feel that they somehow have to squeeze something out of the franchise?
Well, I mean, how much does this film cost? $15 million?
I don't know. Too much.
This one was not as well received as the first one. I don't like either of these films. I mean, I like the idea of the wimpy kid who becomes cool. I think all kids can. I think that would resonate with a lot of kids. But the movies aren't that great. This is a 3-disc set. Disc 1 is the Blu-ray. Disc 2 is the DVD, and Disc 3 is the guess what digital copy. A couple of special features, nothing of note, and it's Wimpy Kid. There's no way that they will feel obligated to complete the Wimpy Kid trilogy.
Yeah, there are more. How many books are there in this damn series?
Too many.
Heavens, Betsy.
Oh, man. I'd like to give a shout-out to a film called Ceremony, and Ceremony is a terrific debut from Max Winkler, writer-director Max Winkler, who I used to work with.
Is this Henry's kid?
This is Henry Winkler's son.
Sweet.
And as many of you know, Henry, Max, and I, and Jonah Hill developed a show briefly for about 6 months. About a long time ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. And Jonah Hill, of course, went on to become Jonah Hill. And Max Winkler has just directed his first film, Ceremony, which is just terrific. It's got a great cast. Uma Thurman's just terrific in it. And it's a good film. It's got a bunch of special features, including a deleted scenes, outtakes, some stuff with Max. And it's good stuff. Ceremony is a good little film. It is recommended by moi.
And how's it look on Blu-ray?
It's a low to medium budget film. It doesn't necessarily sing on Blu-ray, but you know what?
But does it dance?
No, but I think Max gets more money in residuals if you buy a Blu-ray rather than a DVD.
I'm down with that.
So you should
down with that.
You should buy the Blu-ray.
All the way down with that. Mark, after your comments on Rubber last show, I went and I asked him to send us the Blu-ray as well.
Wow.
Because here's my curiosity is because I own a 7D camera, the Canon 7D. And which we're doing a lot of testing on, our good friend Tim and I. We've been shooting a lot of stuff on it, different light situations, really kind of putting it through the ringer. Going to see how far we can push that camera. We're going to push the envelope. And I know they shot this with 5Ds?
Yes, a 5D.
They shot this with the 5D, which has a larger chip, but otherwise generally the same camera. You're getting pretty much the same image quality out of the 5D until you get into really low light situations. So I want to see on Blu-ray, I want to see how does that, because obviously you're not getting the full image on a DVD. You're not getting the full resolution. If you're shooting on a high-def camera that's like a 5D or a 7D, Blu-ray really shows you what it's capable of. You're going to see the flaws. You're going to see it warts and all, the capability of the camera on a Blu-ray. I'm impressed.
Did they?
I want to say I'm impressed.
With the camera work on Rubber.
Yeah,
it is good.
I'm impressed with how it transitions to Blu-ray.
It's pretty cinematic looking.
Yeah. The resolution holds up, and it doesn't crack, and it's really nice.
And don't forget, too, on a low budget, when you use a camera like that, it allows for shots where you're right behind the tire as it rolls.
Yeah.
Which a bigger camera you can never really do
I mean,
that.
the 5Ds and the 7Ds are fantastic, and I've been reading a lot of stuff about how the age of the HDSLR will end before it's even started. No, shut up. Go away, people. Don't try to do that to me. I just bought this thing. Todd Haynes, a very talented filmmaker, but one who has had certainly some rather experimental films. The film that put him on the map was Poison, which was the winner of the Sundance Grand Jury Prize in 1991. And that's not necessarily why it put him on the map. It put him on the map because it became the center of a National Endowment for the Arts funding controversy. A lot of people had issues with a certain section of the film, which is based on the writings of Jean Genet. And there's a thing in here that has, shall we say, people who are extremely religious and not fond of the National Endowment for the Arts didn't like that their tax money was spent on this particular movie.
Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah. That being said, they even kind of brag. Well, this has been out of print for a while on DVD, and it's now back in print. So all of you who spent $375 getting it on eBay or whatever, I'm sorry, you wasted your money. Zeitgeist has released it in kind of eco packaging, and it's back out there. And you know what? It's still a very interesting film. I'm not always on the Todd Haynes bandwagon. I think sometimes his stuff is a little pretentious, like with what was the Bob Dylan thing? What the hell was that called?
I'm Not There.
I'm Not There. Great title, right? Not on board. But when it's Far From Heaven, totally on board. You know?
Well, Far From Heaven, he was aping a particular style of filmmaking.
Yeah, he was basically making a Douglas Sirk film. I mean, there are even shots and compositions from Douglas Sirk movies that he imitates completely. But then there's also the Julianne Moore thing, the other Julianne Moore thing.
Star Wars?
No. Where she has the illness. Why can I not think of the title?
Star Wars?
Stop.
Oh wait, I know what it is, but I'm going to make you suffer.
Nah, I'm not going there.
Far From Heaven.
No, not Far From Heaven. The other one. Quarantine something. What is it? What's it called?
Oh yeah,
where they have to quarantine her because she has the weird illness. That's a great film. It's very Kubrick-like.
We are not going to stop until
we'll get there. Anyway, what is interesting here? There's a lot of great safe. Thank you. A lot of stuff on the. This is they remastered the film for this release and did a really nice job. And they've got the original 1999 audio commentary that was done for the original DVD release. Stuff from the Sundance Film Festival, behind the scenes Polaroids, a lot of other great stuff on here. And they actually kind of brag in the packaging about the controversy over this. And how a lot of people from the religious right attacked the film at the time and made a stink about it. Anyway, it's out again, and it's worth checking out.
Wee.
Though I do wish it were on Blu-ray. We? I thought you were a PlayStation guy.
Yes, I need a new PlayStation, Wade.
Oh, well.
Because the fan keeps going off and it makes a lot of noise.
I got a Criterion here to recommend as well. Not something I ever expected to show up on Criterion, I got to be honest with you. People Sunday from 1930 is really kind of an unusual long-lost film thing. It's very peculiar.
This is a good. I know a little bit about the film. It's from 1930.
Yeah, 1930.
German.
It's silent. And it's a German film that was made by a bunch of people who were not figures not fixtures in Hollywood yet, but would go on to become big fixtures.
At the time, they weren't even really professional actors. I mean, it's considered like a film without actors.
Yes. And the filmmakers involved here are the names: Robert Siodmak, Edgar G. Ulmer, Billy Wilder, and Fred Zinnemann.
That's awesome.
Geez, holy cow! Ulmer would be basically a Poverty Row kind of almost a B-movie underground filmmaker, but Siodmak and Wilder and Zinnemann, geez, this is amazing.
Billy Wilder seems like the name that's like, really, Billy Wilder?
Yeah.
We're talking. It's a movie. Look, it's a movie. It has 5 characters. It takes place over a single weekend, and it opens at the train station.
It's kind of an experimental thing,
No, it is.
But very, very influential, and a lot of fascinating. 2 scores on here, 2 different scores that you can listen to, and a 2000 documentary about the film called Weekend am Wannsee. That's German for Weekend at Wannsee, or Wannsee. We're going to do it the German way. And then there's also a short film from 1931 by the cinematographer who shot this film. And it's a really interesting little artifact from the past, and it's part of the Janus Films library, which oftentimes winds up on Criterion. And they did a very good Blu-ray of this. It's they didn't send us the DVD; they sent us the Blu-ray, and it's very good. But man, this is a real blast from the past.
It is. People on Sunday, good stuff. It's very much a portrayal of Berlin between the wars.
Yes.
People on Sunday.
And a Swedish midsummer sex comedy. Okay. Not a Woody Allen film, despite the
You're thinking of a Midsummer Night's Sex comedy.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse anybody here. Really, the only reason to check this out is that Luke Perry is in it. Who, for some reason, just doesn't seem to age. He looks better than he's ever looked, which is kind of disturbing to me. How old is he? Like 55 now? How old is Luke Perry? 60?
Luke Perry? No, he's got to be in his
65.
He's got to be
70s.
in his mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. Anyway, Luke Perry is basically it's just a low budget independent film, but it's fine. It's perfectly adequate. Luke Perry is the only significant name in it, and the acting is decent. But if you don't know what the Swedish Midsummer is a reference to Midsummer's. What is it? What's it? The Midsummer's Eve? What's it called?
In Sweden?
Yeah, you've been there for that.
I have. Midsummer's Eve.
Midsummer's Eve, where they basically just drink.
Get drunk and eat herring.
That's it.
Midsummer's Eve is a night of complete and utter debauchery all throughout Sweden. In fact, you are told that wherever you have dinner that night is where you are sleeping because you will drink so much you will not want to drive. Actually, our friend Marie.
Yes.
Just to say one last thing about Midsummer's Eve, not that we care about it that much, but our friend Marie said that when she was younger, Midsummer's Eve was so epic for her that she and her friends would wake up in pools of their own vomit the next morning because that's how unbelievably debauched Midsummer's Eve can be.
Love the Swedes.
And
especially the soccer team, by the way. It's Women's World Cup time. You know that.
Christ.
Women's World Cup time.
I know. I'm trying to avoid it. Really
it's so much fun. Good team, the Swedes. They were knocking the Colombian women all over the pitch. It was hysterical. They're like average 6 inches taller.
Wait, I'm not done yawning yet.
Okay, never mind. Well, anyway, so yeah, basically a bunch of friends here celebrating that holiday, that epic thing that Mark was just talking about, and Luke Perry is in the mix, and it's a little bit like all these movies about friends that are out on a vacation somewhere in a country home in the mountains. But it's funny and it's cute and it's got its moments, and it's worth I guess a rental, not a purchase.
Of course, Midsummer's Eve. I have the pictures to prove it.
Mark, what's that?
Oh, Wade, you hand me only the good stuff, Wade. Megapython versus Gatoroid. Now this is not Megapython versus Gatorade.
No, which is what I thought was funny.
Which Gatorade easily would win.
Yeah.
This stars two. It's a weird little movie. This stars two musical icons from the 80s. Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. What do you think of that?
If I had, and I used to be a huge Debbie Gibson fan. Still am, actually.
Really?
Oh yeah, I bought both of her first two albums. Electric Youth.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So bad. What were we thinking? It's terrible.
Yeah, there you go. And the last time that I actually ran in that Nike Run Hit Wonder race, whatever they've called it now, she sang the national anthem at the beginning.
Look, first
if I were going to put those two in a movie, I don't think this is the movie that I'd put them in.
No.
Which one of them plays Megapython?
Exactly. The strangest part about this film is that it was directed by Mary Lambert.
I know.
And Mary Lambert...
His career has just catastrophically fallen off a cliff.
She directed a whole bunch of music videos, incling Madonna and the Eurythmics. Pet Sematary, one of the better Stephen King adaptations. And then there you go.
Her career fell off a cliff. I just don't know what happened.
Wait, you're saying to me that if your latest credit is Megapython versus Gatoroid, then your career has fallen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I beg to differ.
Anyway,
I believe you're a success.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids, I think, is an unfortunately misguided misfire. It's now out on DVD and on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray also contains a digital copy, which I have here in front of me. The super awesome edition. Don't believe it. Ed Helms, like all these people in the office that they're now trying to. They always do this with these ensemble casts. A show will be a hit, and then they think they can they can cherry pick each person from that ensemble cast and somehow anchor a movie with them.
Well, Ed Helms is kind of breaking out a little bit, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, but look,
he was in The Hangover.
Yeah, but ensemble, Hangover, ensemble, The Office, ensemble.
Right.
You know, he's not a standalone guy. He's not going to anchor any kind of a movie. The idea here is better than the execution. You know, he plays this nebbishy guy. He's a salesman. He's never been out of the small town where he works, and suddenly there's this insurance. He basically gets to go represent the company at the big insurance convention thing, and that's like literally going to Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, he's out in the big city, and he's suddenly exposed to all these people from these other insurance companies, other cities, and it's a convention, so it is off the hook. You know what insurance people do when they get out and go crazy. I know what this is about. It's supposed to be kind of a coming of age film with a little bit of a weird, quirky comedic twist, but it doesn't feel charming. It doesn't feel like if what this wants to be is an Alexander Payne film, but it's not smart enough to be an Alexander Payne film. It's too broad to be an Alexander Payne film, and is too overly concerned with trying to get those big lowbrow laughs, and it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. Miguel Arteta, I expect more from you as a director. Tons of extras on here. Nothing spectacular, just featurette stuff and deleted scenes, gag reel, and little thing from the Fox movie channel. I mean, perhaps somebody will enjoy this as a rental, but I wouldn't go crazy and shell out a lot of money for the Blu-ray.
Wait, let me tell you something. There is a movie that was called A Wonderfully Wild Provocation. An imperfect, overlong, intemperate, and utterly absorbing romp through the id that I wouldn't have missed for the world. This is a review.
Yes.
Written by Betsy Sharkey of the LA Times. What movie was she writing about, Wade?
She was the only person that gave this any kind of praise. We are talking about the film which I consider the death of civilization as we know it. The horrible, dreadful, absolutely unwatchably miserable, and disgustingly vile Sucker Punch, which they have now thrown at us in an extended edition as if we needed more from this video game mimicking monstrosity.
I hate this film.
It's just, it was so unpleasant to sit through. It was so numbing, so just rancid and stupid.
It is you know what? It's supposed to be some sort of a girl power, an ode to girl power, yet it's also, of course, nothing but sexualized.
Yeah, well,
girl
that's
imagery.
what all these movies are. They try to have it both ways. I just think Zack Snyder is the worst director on the planet. I just cannot fathom how this guy has conned so many people. Here's how he did it. He's still writing on 2 films. You know that. It's Night of the Living Dead, it was what was it? It wasn't Night of the Living Dead. It was Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
He did the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which how hard is it to actually kind of give that a new twist? So he amped that thing up on steroids, and then he did 300, basically recreating each and every solitary frame from the graphic novel, and then doing that little speed-up, slow-down thing that he does. And then based on those 2 films, in which there is zero imagination, he then went ahead and flubbed Watchmen, and then flubbed The Owls of Ga'Hoole. And is there another flub in there somewhere? No, that's it.
Well, there's an upcoming flub, which is Superman. Yeah. Although people are betting on Christopher Nolan.
This was an original idea. This is the first time that he's actually worked with something that is straight up original. His idea. He owns this thing, lock, stock, and barrel. And man, it is just stupid beyond all comprehension. Tons of money thrown at it. It looks gorgeous on Blu-ray, if that matters. It's an impeccable thing to just blow your sound system out and show off to people because it's all gunfire and explosions. But, this thing just doesn't work in any way whatsoever. A bunch of girls in either an insane asylum or an orphanage or what have you. It's never really quite clear. And then their escape plans are recreated in these fantasy sequences. The whole thing is just such a hack junk crap. Anyway.
You love it.
Oh, it's
your favorite movie of the year.
It's so horrible. Waste enough time on that already.
Yes, I do hate that movie.
Oh, it's dreadful.
Even Transformers is better than Sucker Punch.
Yeah, and you'll be talking about that this week, won't you?
On Stupid for Movies.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in.
You better be.
I will. You know what? Carla Gugino is almost unrecognizable and quite good, believe it or not, in this weird little indie called Electrolux, Luxx, which also, there's a bunch of other people who show up in this thing that I never would have expected to be in this, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I just absolutely adore, and Timothy Olyphant. This thing got, like, zero traction in theaters.
You know why, Wade?
Why?
Because it sucks.
You know what? It's got a weird, quirky little vibe to it.
It sucks.
I mean, it's not great.
You know what? It's Sebastian Gutierrez. It's the sequel to his sex comedy Women in Trouble.
Which I didn't see.
Well, everything that didn't work in Women in Trouble, he ported right over to this one. And, just there's the lack of momentum, the scenes without end, the softcore camp. It's all there. It's just
the camp.
She's fine.
She's fine, and I always enjoy
her.
But,
they're an item.
Oh, are
Carla
they?
Gugino, whatever her name is, and
Sebastian Gutierrez. Really?
He is Gordon Levitt, totally wasted. He plays this internet blogger, and fan of Electrolux, and
who's like a porn star,
who's a retired porn star who gets involved in this adventure.
Yes,
and it's just really, you know what? It's just low budget, campy junk.
See, I like camp.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not accomplished filmmaking.
Oh, no, not by any stretch.
No. It's bad times.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, one more movie there. We'll cover that and then jump into docs.
What if I don't want to cover that one?
Okay, well, you don't have to.
What if I just want to sit here and just go, meh, not interested?
You're welcome to.
Okay, fine.
Or I can.
Yes, well, you want me to talk about this, don't you? You want me to talk about Lebanon, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I kind of do. Because I didn't watch it.
Oh, man. Well, Lebanon, Pennsylvania is an okay film. It stars Josh Hopkins, who I'd never heard of, as a kind of a mid-30s guy living in Philadelphia. He goes to Lebanon, Pennsylvania to bury his father, and he winds up having a friendship with this girl who is his cousin. She's a teenager. She's pregnant. It's okay. It's not bad. Samantha Mathis is in it, and we all love Samantha Mathis. And Mary Beth Hurt is in it from The Big Chill.
Big Chill.
Yes, it's not bad actually. It's a nice little comedy it's written and directed by this guy named Ben Hickernell, who's done like nothing since. So obviously it was not very well received critically. Guy can't get another film made. You know what? It's a little cliched, but it's got some strong moments, and I don't know why it's on Blu-ray. Not necessary.
Actually, before we get into some docs, there is a collection of MGM films that I want to do a quick shout-out on. These are the latest batch of MOD releases. You know
that stands for Make on Demand.
Manufacture on Demand.
Same thing. Make on Demand, manufacture.
Okay, fine. Be that way. Anyway, these are basically what the Warner Archive Collection started this whole thing. This trend where you go online and you say I want one, and they press it for you right then and there, and that way they're saving money on the manufacture cost of having to make 20,000 that will not sell. But they can sell them one at a time as they need to, and that way they can bring a lot of unsung little movies out and make them available for purchase that otherwise wouldn't be financially feasible. Nick Gomez has not had the career that I would have expected him to have, but he really made a name for himself with Laws of Gravity, and Laws of Gravity is now out as part of this MGM MOD release. Definitely you should check this out if you have not seen it before. Great performance by Peter Green, who gives a lot of intense performances in a lot of things like Clean Shaven all the way to The Usual Suspects. But really, this is one of those sharp little low budget indies that kind of started the indie revolution at one point. The little unsung Samuel Fuller film is also part of this series, Park Row. This would, again, never have gotten released because it's not a great Samuel Fuller film, but it's worth watching. It's got basically a no-name cast, more no-name than most of his other stuff, but really terrific black and white photography and a very, very good performance by Bela Kovacs. Good Hungarian name there, so that's worth looking at. I'm not so fond of The Fear Makers, mainly because I'm not a huge Dana Andrews fan. I like Dana Andrews in maybe 2 or 3 films, like
He did a bunch of noir back in the day, but
Yeah.
but you know what? When your name is Dana,
Well,
not happening.
He's, The Best Years of Our Lives, 1946 Best Picture was brilliant, and he's great in it, but it's an ensemble. No, the best thing about this is...
Well, he was also in Laura.
Yes, and he's decent in Laura. Laura is more about the music than anything else.
Come on, Laura.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
You're mean.
This is, anyway, Dana Andrews anchors The Fearmakers, directed by Jacques Tourneur, who is a very good filmmaker, if you've seen any of his other stuff. The only thing that I really vibe to in this is it's got Mel Torme in it. Mel Torme is an actor.
Awesome.
His first big film.
Awesome. Love it.
Love those jowls, even back then. An aging Errol Flynn in The Big Boodle is, not a, you can tell that this guy's liver is about to give out at any given moment. It's not a great film, but it's based on an interesting novel by Robert Sylvester, and it's, the only thing that's kind of noteworthy about this is that it takes place in a Havana casino, where Errol Flynn is a croupier, and it's a little bit of a quasi-noir. It's interesting from a historical standpoint if you know the whole history of Errol Flynn in Cuba, and, that is a history unto itself. So this kind of plugs into that lore. Roy Scheider and Jürgen Prochnow acted for John Frankenheimer in The Fourth War. Not one of the most memorable Frankenheimer films, but, a couple of guys whose faces looked like granite at the time, and anything that Frankenheimer does is on some level worth checking out. So that one's a nice curiosity factor. From the World Films Library, also as part of this MOD thing, is Another Man, Another Chance, also known as Un autre homme, une autre chance. Now, this is their way of saying this is a kind of a sort of a French film. Well, it's not really it's American at least one American actor, but it is in fact a French film by Claude Lelouch, and Claude Lelouch's movies are an acquired taste. I love them, generally speaking, but they're unusual, and it takes place in the American West, so it's kind of a Western, but it's also kind of a foreign film. It's a Lelouch film. There's no other way to say it. Jules Dassin, speaking of great French directors.
I love Jules Dassin.
Jules Dassin's terrific. And this is one that I almost think they could have made a non-MOD film. They really could have gotten a straight-up regular DVD release out of this and sold quite a lot. This is Phaedra, Phaedra. Really a terrific movie. It's an illicit love affair movie, but great performances and really good direction. Dassin is just such an incredibly gifted director.
Night in the City.
Oh man, some really
Rafifi.
good stuff here. Yeah, and a fabulous performance here by Anthony Perkins. Who everybody always thinks is just Norman Bates. And then the last two here are kind of curiosities. A Midsummer Night's Dream, as directed by Peter Hall, which is cool. We often rave about Rebecca Hall on this show. Well, this is her dad, who is one of the great Shakespearean directors of all time, mostly stage stuff. But yes, he did at one point make this very, very little seen film about, one of the great Shakespearean plays of all time. And I had never seen this before. This was done in 1966, and it's an incredible cast. I don't know how this thing kind of fell off the radar. You know who's in this thing?
Let me guess. Gallagher, the comic.
If you say Carrot Top, I swear I'm going to pause the show and I'm going to come over and I'm going to pound on you.
Carrot Top.
Listen to who's in this. I mean, first of all, director of photography Peter Suskitsky. I'm not going to say Peter Sushitsky because it sounds obscene that way. Who's a great DP. He did
Star Wars.
No. You know what he did.
He did...
one of your favorite James Horner scores of all time.
Which one?
Oh, my gosh. See, Peter Yates directed it.
Peter Yates
directed a movie that James Horner wrote a score for. You bought it on vinyl. I bought it on vinyl.
What is it?
It's got a Cyclops in it.
Oh, that's right. Krull.
Thank you.
Yes.
Peter, that guy, shot Krull. Very, very good cinematography. He shot this. Listen to who's in this cast. This is going to blow your mind. Among others,
I love that guy, among others.
No, stop. David Warner, Diana Rigg, Helen Mirren, Ian Richardson, Judi Dench, Ian Holm. Come on.
That's great. That's a who's who.
That's totally who's who. It's incredible. So you got to check this out. This really is a very, very good version of a play that doesn't always translate to film very well. There have been maybe 3 or 4 versions, and it's always a little tricky. And then the last one here is the unbelievably bizarre Bob Hope film that totally fell between the cracks. This is such an odd production. Call Me Bwana. Bob Hope. Get this. This is Bob Hope starring with Anita Ekberg in a film produced by Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli.
Yeah.
Like, how did those people get together? Where did that come from? It's just bizarre. The producer of the James Bond films and Harry Saltzman, and it's just weird. Gordon Douglas directed
because when Broccoli, back then, Broccoli was contracted by UA to make 2 films a year for them.
Yeah. And this was the other one?
Well, he would make a James Bond film.
And then he'd do a Bob Hope film?
And then he'd make a non-Bond film.
Like a Bob Hope film?
It wound up being a Bob Hope film.
Well, anyway. And Anita Ekberg, who said, I know, we'll put Bob Hope together with Anita Ekberg? What? That's like I know. Let's put Daniel Craig together with Phyllis Diller. It doesn't make sense. It's just the weirdest pairing.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, it's okay. It's not a great Bob Hope film. You can tell he's kind of on his last legs as an on-screen comic here. But it's a fish out of water thing. With the Bob Hope in Africa, and whatever. It's got its moments.
Here's a movie that has its moments. American, the Bill Hicks story. Now, people who do not know about Bill Hicks, well, let me tell you, them thar. Bill Hicks was a stand-up comic who died at age 32 of pancreatic cancer. And since his death in, 94 he died at the age of 32. Since his death in 94, his comedy and his persona have become kind of, frankly, a little, he's funny. I like him a lot, but, death was the best thing that happened to his career, unfortunately.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they say about Marilyn Monroe. The dying young was the best career move she ever made.
That's right. Bill Hicks is a little like that, although Hicks is funny. He was born in Georgia. A lot of his comedy was like religion, politics, and philosophy, and he did a lot of funny stuff. But and there is a certain amount of him on DVD already, including some stand-up specials that you can stream on Netflix. But American, the Bill Hicks story from the BBC, is the considered like the ultimate, Bill Hicks documentary. I think that this documentary is fine. You're probably better served by just watching some Bill Hicks routines on Netflix. Because this is very much a hagiography.
A friend of ours was actually, trying to get a Bill Hicks biopic off the ground for a little while.
Yeah, but you know what? His life was not that interesting. It really wasn't. There was
the casting they had talked about would have been interesting.
There was something interesting about a guy who grew up in Georgia who had very sophisticated theories and ideas about politics and religion and philosophy. I like that part. The best thing about this DVD is the second disc, which has 30 minutes of rare clips and unseen performances, extended interviews, deleted scenes. The second disc is just as good, if not better, than the actual movie. American, Bill Hicks.
And on the documentary front, I'm going to actually go ahead and recommend something that I never would have imagined I would have recommended, The Vanishing of the Bees. Actually, just Vanishing of the Bees.
Screw the bees. I don't like bees. I'm scared of bees.
When
I was in summer camp when I was 9 years old, I was stung by a bee in the chin. And if you want to see Mark, if you want to see Mark Heiser run,
I've seen you run around bees.
It's show me a bee.
It's the funnious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's freaking hilarious. It exists to this day. So get this. I was going to. Why are you laughing so much? Because it's true.
Because I remember. I don't even know where we were. I just remember there was a moment somewhere. We were somewhere, and out of the blue, I didn't even see the bee. It was like a microscopic bee, but I just remember you just going, bees, and you hightailed it out of there.
Yes,
somewhere there was a bee, and it sent you running. It was hysterical.
I was starting to see even worse, and it's more recent. About 3 months ago, I was walking to a screening with this girl I was going out with at the time.
Oh, I know where this is going.
And for some reason, I don't know why, I'm afraid of bees. I don't know what made me mention it. And literally, as I mentioned that, a bee does a dive bomb into my eye. Didn't sting me, just bounced off my eye. But the bee does a dive bomb into my eye and then bounces off my eye, didn't sting me, and falls on the concrete, and I stepped on it and killed it, and now it is dead and in hell.
Well, you're going to feel guilty after you watch Vanishing of the Bees. Yeah, you will.
Tell me why.
Did you know that all bees are female?
I'll kill them. I don't care.
Like, the males just sort of sit around in the hive impregnating the queen.
Couldn't care less.
The ones that are out doing all the work are the women.
Couldn't care less.
Anyway, as we all know, and especially if you know from having watched that horrendous M. Night Shyamalan film, The Happening, bees are vanishing and all over the planet.
So long, suckers.
It's really a bad thing, man. It's a bad thing from an ecological standpoint, and
but it's a good thing from Mark's standpoint.
We need bees.
No, we don't.
People,
we don't need
do.
bees. We don't need. There's no animal that we need.
We need bees in a big, huge way,
no,
and this will tell you. Look, I come from a family of beekeepers. I know about this stuff.
By the way, the bee lobby in Washington is very powerful.
They are,
and they probably lobby to get this.
They need to be more powerful. Anyway, this is so interesting, and it comes in this really thin eco-packaging, which will not look good on a shelf, so you're not going to find this very easily. But really, it's so important, and it gets into why we need bees and why they are so essential to the ecosystem and why human beings and bees are represent a very careful balance. And it does it without being like weird or wonky or overly BBC. It's really, really terrific. So you got to see this. Love the bees. Don't take Mark's word. Just love the bees. We need them.
I hate bees.
From bees to the O.
This is a strange little documentary by Liz Canner called Orgasm Inc. And in the movie, which it's a smart film, and it's also a funny film. It's a documentary. It's all about the female orgasm and the idea that there is a condition, which is a new condition, which is a bit of a BS condition, if you ask me, called female sexual dysfunction, which was invented pretty much so that pharmaceutical companies can pretend to cure it.
Yeah.
And it's all about this pill that's supposed to cure female sexual dysfunction. And she gets into, female orgasms and what it means to different women and blah, blah, blah. It's good stuff. It's a cute little documentary. It's not what you think. It's not salacious or anything like that.
So no graphic cinematography of...
No.
Okay.
This is not Swedish. This is not Swedish porn. It is Orgasm Inc.
But is it the Swedish women's national soccer team? Because they're good. They are good. They're fun to watch.
No, they're not.
You know what's really terrific? The King Speaks. No, not The King's Speech, but The King Speaks, which is an actual documentary about the real King George VI and all that stuff that the movie was technically dramatizing. And as you can imagine, a lot of things in the movie aren't quite as they really transpired in real life, and there are a lot of details and nuances to the story that make it even more interesting, which, of course, you can't always do in a movie. And what's great is this thing is short. It is short. It is mercifully short. It's only 50 minutes long. This is from BFS, and you got to get this. You're going to see real footage of the real King George VI, and you'll realize that Colin Firth dead on deserved that Oscar. If you didn't think he deserved it before, you'll definitely think so after this. Narrated by the star of Inspector Lewis, the great Lawrence Fox. This is really absolutely terrific. It'll give you all new insight into the king as well as Lionel Logue, who was played by Jeffrey Rush in the film. And it'll just you'll gain a greater appreciation not only for the real figures but for the movie itself. It was terrific. So this is a great supplement. I wish this had been an extra on the DVD. They should have done that.
Yeah, but then you couldn't buy that separately. And the production company would probably make more selling those individual discs than licensing the documentary to Miramax.
I suppose. And then one more thing here that's sort of it is a documentary. It's just sports oriented. Now that the NBA championship has gone to Dallas, and that poor LeBron James is once again 0-2 in the finals. Aw. Can you tell I don't root for Miami? We got a Blu-ray here, When They Were Young, The Path to Stardom. And this focuses on 5 rather talented NBA stars, one of whom just retired. That would be Shaquille O'Neal. So the focus here is on Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, LeBron Wade and LeBron James and...
I bumped the mic.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I actually scratched the mic with my fingernail accidentally.
And Dwayne Wade. So
your name's Wade,
there you
too.
go. No, what's interesting here...
Wade, if you married Dwayne Wade, your name would be Wade Wade.
Or his
and
name...
you realize if the
or
two
his
of you,
name would be Dwayne Major.
No.
Why am I taking his name?
Because the two of you are going to go to New York.
How am I the woman in this scenario?
The two of you are going to go to New York right now
Jeez.
and get married. You can get married in New York now.
Yeah, okay.
Case can get married.
That's great.
And you're going to become Wade Wade.
Thank you. Not Dwayne Major, huh?
Nope.
I see. I'm the woman. Got it. Thank you.
Right.
Nice to know you think
it.
so much of me. Anyway, no, I find this interesting because the dynamics of these players is that Kobe and Shaq played together. James and Wade are currently playing together. Garnett met Kobe in the finals. Shaq played with Dwayne Wade in Miami. They won a championship together. I mean, it's interesting. It's like these are 5 great players, but they're really limited to just a handful of teams. Franchises are not what they should be in the NBA. We need more stars and more franchises, and this lockout, which is where I'm going with this, is going to be a problem. Anyway, this is a decent sports doc and a lot of interesting stuff if you're fans of these guys, and you also get a look at some of the other figures in the league. Carmelo Anthony on one of the special features, a little thing on his draft day. Tim Duncan. Strictly for basketball fans, though. Nobody else will really give a damn. Mark, we got before we wrap the show out, we got a little bit of listener mail that is worth going through, and I also want to give a shout out to the 5 people who won our Kill the Irishman giveaway, the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So our winners were Tommy Thigpen in Texas, Dan Hoskins in Wisconsin, Nathan Roll, also in Wisconsin, Mark Kuzniers in Illinois, and Robert Shue in Virginia. So congratulations.
Congratulations. You win.
You won the Kill the Irishman Blu-ray.
You can now, and by the way,
should be arriving any day now.
And with that comes actual legal permission to kill an Irishman.
Absolutely. Dead on. And then we had a very interesting email from Chris Tsai, who asked us basically to name, if we could sort of give him some recommendations for movies that start with Q and X so that he could fill out his DVD collection. And because he was alphabetizing it and he didn't have anything. So Mark recommended, these are some interesting recommendations that everybody should heed. Mark recommended The Quiet Earth, The Quiet American, Q&A, the Sidney Lumet film, Q, The Winged Serpent. That was a good one there. Quetzalcoatl, Q, The Winged Serpent. And Quiz Show. And I threw in Quai des Orfèvres, The Criterion, The Queen, Quadrophenia, Quartet, and Quest for Fire.
I can't believe I didn't mention Quadrophenia because was my favorite band. And
that.
I can't believe I didn't mention Quest for Fire.
But when it came to X, you were stumped, weren't you?
I don't think I answered
that. Yeah, you were stumped. You know what? I gave him 2 good X ones. One, the Chinese film directed by Joan Chen, Shu Shu, The Sent Down Girl, which she had to do practically on the sly without the Chinese government even knowing she was shooting it. Great film. Great, tragic, wonderful film. But the number one film that you should absolutely always get if you need a space for X, if you need to fill X in your collection, Xanadu. There it is. Xanadu, baby. And then last listener mail. Well, actually, a couple of last ones, a couple of corrections here. We got one from Joe Nocella, Senior Finance Officer. Thanks, Joe. Always great to hear from you.
Joe's our Senior Finance Officer.
We love Joe. And Joe said, by the way, the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 was released on Blu-ray a few years ago, along with other Superman titles when the whole Blu-ray and HD DVD format wars started. But they are all together now in a boxed set, which we should have mentioned when we covered that. So thank you for pointing that out, Joe. And then also Kevin writes us and says, Wade and Mark, it was, with respect to Sally Field, says she's playing May Parker in The Amazing Spider-Man, not Martha Kent in Man of Steel. Diane Lane will be Ma Kent. He's correct.
Yeah.
You made that mistake. I didn't make that mistake.
Don't call me out.
Yeah. So there we go. With that, that is our show this week. Please tune in and watch Mark and another fabulous talent on Thursday.
Devin Faraci.
Devin Faraci, there we go.
From Chud, formerly of Chud.com.
Oh, wow, there we go. I'll be tuning in.
He's a fanboy's fanboy.
And if you want to email us at gods@digigods.com. Always gods@digigods.com. And we'll see you next week.